Welcome to Illuminati Silver. We tell the truth about silver. Today is Sunday the 3rd of November 2024. And last week, gold and silver dipped a little ahead of the US general election and the FOMC's decision on interest rates, both of which are happening this week. Is this the start of a reversal or just a little pause before the next leg up? Well, to find out more, let's take a look. Now first, just a quick reminder, we've set up a second channel entitled Finances Do Matter, covering a whole array of financial topics. We've placed a link in the description box and comment section below for those who have not yet joined the channel. Also, just in case you haven't subscribed to this one, please make sure that you press the thumbs up, the subscribe button, and the bell sign. Let's now get to precious metals. Gold fell $12 last week, falling from $2,749 to $2,737, having hit a high of $2,792 and a low of $2,725, a fall of 0.5%. Please note, both its high and low were higher than the previous week's figures. Gold spread between high and low was $67. Last weekend, we said gold would trade between 2,007 and 2,800, which it did comfortably. In sterling terms, gold was down £4, closing at £2,120, and in euros it was down €23, closing at €2,527. Silver fared worse. It fell $1.24, falling from $33.71 to $32.47, having been as high as $34.59 and as low as $32.36. A fall of 3.7%. Please note its low and high were lower than the previous week's figures, unlike gold, which was higher. The difference between its high and low was $2.23. Last weekend, we predicted silver would trade between $32 and $35, which it also did comfortably, though the low was in our outlier range. In sterling terms, silver was down 85 pence at £25.18, and in euros it was down 1.22 euros at 30.04 euros. The gold to silver ratio inevitably went up, and it moved from 81.5 to 1 to 84.3 to 1. Bitcoin currently stands at $69,500, and that's up $2,500 on last week. Equities were marginally lower, but would have been worse had it not been for a 0.5% rise on Friday. Dow Jones down 62 points at 42,052. The S&P 500 down 80 points at 5,728. The Nasdaq Composite down 279 points at 18,239. And the FTSE 100 index down 71 points at 8,177. Slightly good news, oil prices were weaker. Brent crude down $2.95 at 73.10, and WTI crude down $2.29 at $69.49, both more or less reversing the previous week's gains. The dollar index stands at 104.28. That's up just 0.03 on the week. Last week we stated that there was going to be a fair amount of US economic data being published, especially PCE inflation and the non-farm payrolls. Well, consumer confidence for October was published on Tuesday, and it was 8 points higher than anticipated. The ADP employment report providing figures twice as much as expected, and the PCE inflation figures came in at 2.1% year over year and 2.7% for the year over year core figures. This latter figure was marginally disappointing. Personal spending was also up at 0.5% for September compared with 0.3% in August. The main disappointment, though, were the non-farm payrolls, which came in at just 12,000 new jobs compared with expectations of 110,000, and previous months also being corrected lower. Particularly disappointing, bearing in mind the positive ADP employment report. Now, looking ahead to this coming week, the November the 5th election will dominate the media headlines for sure. After that, we have the FOMC decision on interest rates on Thursday, which is virtually guaranteed to lower the Fed funds rate by 0.25% or 25 basis points. But the attention will be on the prospect of another cut in December, and we will have to listen to the Fed Chair Jerome Powell's statement on that matter. We suspect there won't be a cut in December as inflation is hovering at the current level, and a further fall needs to be seen before they make such a move. It's possible, but not quite as likely as many had anticipated. Also, the prospect of a Trump victory and the imposition of tariffs thereafter, causing short-term inflation to rise, will mean that the Fed may hold off any decision should Trump win until early into the new year. Now, gold closed last week near its low, and the fear is that from a technical analysis point of view, a bearish doji was formed, which could suggest lower prices ahead short term, and possibly an attack on the $2,700 level to potentially as low as $2,686, which is where the 20-day moving average rests. We believe a small rest or respite for gold is perhaps a good thing, considering its recent strength, and depending on the statement made by the FOMC on Thursday, will dictate to some extent the prospect of a rally or a further decline towards the end of the year. Silver seems to struggle at the $35 region, as it's quite a formidable resistance level. Equally, though, there is quite strong support around the $32.50 level, which it closed marginally below on Friday. In perhaps a worst-case scenario, we will see plenty of buyers move into silver at $31 should it dip that low. The Middle East tensions remain high, and attempts for a ceasefire have failed so far, though there is a growing political impetus to attempt to achieve one. Usually elections are good for precious metals as they create uncertainty, and we would argue that if Trump wins because of his threat of tariffs, we may see a strengthening of the US dollar and a weakening of precious metal prices, because as mentioned earlier, inflation short-term will rise because of the tariffs. Any savings on producing even more oil will perhaps take a little while to filter through the system. It really does depend on investors' perspectives. Now, we've produced a video specifically on this subject earlier in the week and have included links to that and other videos we've published these past 10 days in the description box and comments section below. So what do we expect this coming week? Well, we did say last week that the Middle East tensions may indeed encourage a follow-through on Friday's precious metal rise, but we are aware that a correction will be due soon, and it could be the case that it started last Thursday. So this week we're going to be a little bit cautious, and we expect gold to trade somewhere between $2,675 and $2,800, with $2,650 and $2,825 as outliers. Please remember, once this war premium comes out of the price, we will almost certainly see a minimum of $100 fall. But while the tensions persist, then that $100 plus premium will remain. Silver we're expecting to oscillate quite a bit, probably trade between $32 and $34, but don't be surprised if it does oscillate down to as low potentially as $31.25 and as high as $34.50. What do you think? Please do share your thoughts. Meanwhile, thank you so much for listening. We'd appreciate it if you would give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, press the bell sign. Pop on over to Finances Do Matter and subscribe there if you haven't already done so. It's going to be an interesting and exciting week with the presidential election together with that of the House and Senate. Who knows how this is really going to pan out?